Very good morning and welcome to all the viewers around the globe joining us for this pre-recorded show, and this is on Saturday morning, early doors for the Sunday meeting, which takes place at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, and really looking forward to some top class racing on the day. And talking about some top class racing, we have Graham Hawkins on the line. Graham, how are you doing? And looking at the card, looking forward to it?
Very much looking forward to it. I'm doing really well, thank you, Sheldon. It promises to be a cooler day in Cape Town on Sunday. Conditions should be absolutely perfect for racing at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. They are forecasting a northwester, which is early sign of winter around the corner, so there could be a bit of a tailwind. We're not quite sure at this stage how strong that might be and how it might affect the running of the various races. But of course, the star of show is One Stripe, making his final appearance in South Africa when he takes on 9 rivals in the 5 million rand HSH Princess Charlene Big Cap over 1,400 meters. And it's going to be a real pressure day for trainer Vaughan Marshall.
Right, let's get straight into our 10-race program. In the first race, an early start at 12:05, and just looking at the early exchanges and the betting. Number 2, Captain John Snow is 13-10. Number 10, Follow Your Heart at 22-10. Number 4, Sierra Sagrada, the interesting runner, Graham, the first timer from the Vaughan Marshall stable. Early money 8-1 down 9-2, and number 5, North Pointed around 8-1. Any word on the ground about number 4, Sierra Sagrada, the One World?
And it starts right here in the first race because he's got the favourite number 2, Captain John Snow, who's got decent form from 2 starts coming into the race. And of course, as you've mentioned, number 4, Sierra Sagrada, will be partnered by Gavin Larena, attracting early support. He's bred on exactly the same lines as One Stripe, being by One World out of a mare by Silvano. And of course, Vaughan will have a very good line as to how his 2 runners match up. For the meantime, number 2, Captain John Snow, is still the firm favourite, has racing experience on his side. When running second behind Winter Snap, number 5, North Point, was a couple of lengths behind him. So there shouldn't be too much to choose between numbers 2, Captain John Snow, and 5, North Point. Interestingly, North Point, JP van der Merwe rides this in preference to Snaith's first timer, 8, Lyrical Gangsters, owned by Greg Bort. So Richard Farias picked up the rider, number 8, Lyrical Gangster. But certainly JP's preference seems to be for number 5, North Point, and 8, Lyrical Gangster is quite easy to back. 10, Follow Your Heart. Nice debut behind Spacebound. Yes, well beaten, but Military Commander was further back in that race and came out to win next up. And Military Commander races in the Cape Racing Sales Cape Slipper, which is the second race in the card. Not an easy race to nail your colours to the mask. With a little hesitation, I'm going with number 2, Captain John Snow. I think the racing experience could be on his side to beat home numbers 5, North Point, 10, Follow Your Heart, and 4, Sierra Sagrada. But obviously, as we approach race time, if there's further support for number 4, Sierra Sagrada, we might have to reevaluate our selections.
Super. Moving on to race number 2, as you mentioned, the Cape Racing Sales Cape Slipper over 1,200 meters, and this promises to be a very exciting contest because there's not a lot of form between the runners here. You'll see Claire de Lune and of course Wild Green, Black Cheetah. There's some nice form lines there. In race number 2, they are betting 5-2 about number 3, Dream World. Number 11, Black Cheetah, who's unbeaten 2 from 2, 5-2 joint. And then the filly, who's been right on top of them, looking for her first win, is at 5-1. Let's kick off with the unbeaten Black Cheetah. Now, the Justin Snaith stable, this individual has gone 2 from 2. Richard Farias knows him exceptionally well. And how do you rate this one's chances after the 71 days off the track?
Well, I think he must be one of the leading lights in the race. As you say, unbeaten 2 from 2, made a sparkling debut, winning easily over 800 meters by nearly 4 lengths. But his real test came on King's Plate Day when he raced up against Claire de Lune, he was a neck in front of Claire de Lune on that occasion. As you've mentioned, Claire de Lune has yet to win, but she's finished runner-up in all 3 starts to date. So on the form of the King's Plate race day, when second beaten a neck by Black Cheetah, there shouldn't be too much to choose between them. The difference is that was over 1,000 meters. They go 1,200 meters on this occasion. Claire de Lune is very well bred to cope with the extra. So I wouldn't be surprised to see number 1 Claire de Lune overturn number 11 Black Cheetah, but there shouldn't be too much to choose between them. 3 Dream World. He was a well-backed favourite when winning on debut. He's got a wonderful pedigree, being by 1 world out of Dream de Ra. The brother went for 2 million rand at the sales over the last couple of days, bought by the Mike de Kock stable. I would have described Dream World's debut win as workmanlike rather than mind-blowing, but certainly plenty of scope for further improvement, and there does seem to be money around for number 3 Dream World, and this could be yet another pressure horse for the Gavin Arena Vaughan Marshall partnership. I do think that number 2 Military Command is worth a mention. He was given an educational start to his career when 4th beaten 6 lengths by his stable companion Space Bound. On that occasion, there was absolutely no money for Military Command, but they poured it on in his second start when coming into 16 to 10 and blowing the opposition away. So there could be a lot more to come from number 2 Military Command. So I think the principal 4 runners are numbers 1 Claire de Lune, 2 Military Command, 3 Dream World, and 11 Black Cheetah. I think the betting describes the race pretty accurately. There could be further improvement to come from the very well-bred number 9 Churchillian, and he could fill one of the quartet positions. But I'm marginally in the camp of number 1 Claire de Lune. I know she comes into the race as a maiden, but nothing to choose between her and Black Cheetah. She's got plenty of experience. She's bred to enjoy this trip and even further. So I'm marginally in the camp of number 1 Claire de Lune. But these 2-year-olds, they improve rapidly from one run to the next, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a hell of a lot more improvement to come from number 3 Dream World.
On to race number 3, the opening leg of the place accumulator, and the betting goes as follows. Number 3 Rattlesnake, who'll be looking to strike at 5 to 2. Number 5 Tough Terrain takes a certain ride. He's 28 to 10 from 3 to 1. Number 1 Easy Money, the filly taking on the boys, is currently at 6 to 1, and then numbers 2 and 10 both at 7 to 1. Night Tiger and Peace of Mind. Now, Graham, when you look at Rattlesnake and Tough Terrain, Rattlesnake carrying the 60, Tough Terrain 64, and then you got the filly with the 54.5 kilograms on her back.
Race this 1,000-meter contest, which opens up the place accumulator. I think we've mentioned the 3 principal runners. Numbers 1 Easy Money. She was a good winner over 1,200 meters last time, albeit in very weak company. Of course, prior to that, she had always shown her best form over this minimum trip. So I do think that number 1 Easy Money, although taking a steep rise in class, will be competitive. 3 Rattlesnake, we were all waiting for him to bounce back to form. He did that last time, narrowly beaten by Bluff on Bluff. In fact, he won the race but lost it in the boardroom. So you can perhaps consider that number 3 Rattlesnake is a winner without a penalty. As you mentioned, Tough Terrain, who was just right on the heels of number 3 Rattlesnake last time out, takes a certain type of ride. He hasn't won for 378 days, so there should be absolutely nothing on form to choose between numbers 3 Rattlesnake and 5 Tough Terrain. The one improver in the race could be number 10 Peace of Mind. There was a lot of talk when she shipped into Cape Town from the Highveld. She's failed to recapture the sort of form that she showed on the Highveld. But if you look, last run, the average merit rating was 89 when beaten 5.5 lengths by First Masterpiece, who races on later on in this card. From that average merit rating of 89, she drops into a contest where the average merit rating is 73. So there could be a top 4 finish to come from number 10, Peace of Mind. But I'm going to go with number 3, Rattlesnake. As I say, he was a little unlucky perhaps to lose the last race in the boardroom. He does marginally hold number 5, Tough Terrain, but I think you can expect another decent run from number 1, Easy Money, and 10, Peace of Mind. Easy to back it around 8 to 1. Must be considered for trifectas and quartets.
As we move along to race number 4, and your suggested bet for the day is the pick 6, and looking at your numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 and 9. So you're looking for survival in the opening leg. You're touching on First Masterpiece, who is the marginal favourite at 7-2. Number 4, right there in the betting, that is, well, not number 4, it's Babalicious at 4-1, and then they go out to Blue Holly at 9-2. So the opening leg of the pick 6, you've gone with quite a few runners here, Graham. Would you have a first selection, or are you just going in there hoping one of your numbers will come through?
Well, I'm hoping for survival, and I'd be disappointed with that spread of numbers if I didn't survive the opening leg at the pick 6, which, as you mentioned, is my suggested bet. That is not often the case. But trying to have a go at the pick 6 at this Hollywoodbets Kenilworth race meeting, and the first leg goes at 13.50, as you mentioned, over 1,000 meters. I think it's very competitive. Now, you mentioned that tough terrain in the previous race needs a certain type of ride. Well, I think that's probably the best way to describe number 3, First Masterpiece, as well. But JP van der Merwe has certainly worked her out. She's won her last 2 starts. But you do have your heart in your mouth halfway through the race, because she likes to come from a long way back. And, of course, she's rising in the handicap, so it's going to get tougher as she goes along. Both the last 2 victories have been very narrow, last gasp victories over Tamaron and Artiste, but both of those are very decent fillies. So there's definitely no doubt that number 3, First Masterpiece, is on the up. She's going to be very competitive. The faster they go, the better they'll go. I mentioned earlier that there's a possibility of a tailwind. I'm not quite sure how that will suit her, but let's not factor that into the equation. Let's just judge her on the form. And yes, she'll be flying home late, and it's only a question of whether she gets there in time. Babalicious is as consistent as they come and will run another honest race. But I do think there are others with chances. I wouldn't be surprised if the 10-1 chance, number 2, Furious Queen, came bouncing back to best form, so I've thrown her into the mix. 4, My Sensation, is interesting. She often flatters to deceive, but there's no doubt that she's capable. She's never actually raced over the minimum chip. So this is her first appearance over 1,000 meters, and it's quite possible it could be a little on the sharp side. Blue Holly is returning to form. Her last 2 runs have been good. She wasn't too far behind First Masterpiece last time out. That was over 1,100 meters. So First Masterpiece and Blue Holly stepping back in trip, and that'll suit Blue Holly possibly a little bit more than it'll suit First Masterpiece. You can never ignore the chances of number 7, Miss Marguerite. She's run in much higher rated races than this. She's run well. She's holding her form nicely. And then, just in case we get a complete blowout in the first leg, I've included the 16-1 chance, number 9, Pork Devar, on a penultimate run behind Elusive Winter. That brings her into this race with some kind of a chance. Yes, she would be a bit of a surprise winner, but she's carrying a competitive weight of 54. So I've gone wide. I think the race is up for grabs. I think it's going to be very competitive. And while you might be in the camp of number 3, First Masterpiece, as I say, she needs the race to pan out perfectly for her.
That'll take us along to the halfway stage after race number 5. The first half of the card will be done and dusted, where number 2, Tenango, is your 15-10 favourite. Number 6, Lion Rampart at 2-1. And then graded place last time out, number 8, Seeking the Stars. Obviously the class package in the race and the best weighted. And then number 4, Unbeldi at 8-1. Graham, your thoughts on number 2, Tenango? I thought could be a little bit vulnerable at 15-10 with Lion Rampant and Seeking the Stars in the contest.
Look, it's getting tougher also for Tenango, but there's no doubt that he's in the form of his life. It's nice that Andrew Fortune has been flown in to ride number 2, Tenango, because of Elder de Meyer won't be able to make this weight of 57. So Elder rides stable companion number 3, Future Variety, who's not completely without a chance in his own right. But 2, Tenango has been very dominant. Clearly, he's got more to beat here. The Abdicator and Rosh Kadesh were his victims in the last 2 starts. Neither did much to flatter that form next time out. But there's no doubt that Tenango has really turned the corner since he's had a wind operation. And he's done really well. But I've backed him up with number 6, Lion Rampart, who I think was clearly below best behind Candy Town. So I'm expecting a lot better from number 6, Lion Rampart. Richard Free reunites with the Vaughan Marshall runner. So Lion Rampart goes in. Not quite sure what to make of number 8, Seeking the Stars. As you say, if you look at the best weighted column, he's well clear of the opposition. And yes, if you go back a number of runs, he did win over 1,000 meters. But that was at Hollywoodbets Durbanville, and I think that setup suits him well. That's 1,100 meters. I'm still in the camp that it might be a little on the sharp side, and of course Seeking the Stars is now rising 8, so I've pushed him to the sidelines, which may be a little dangerous. I might be playing with fire in the second leg of the pick 6 by only going with numbers 2 Tenango and 6 Line Rampart. So if you wanted to add number 8, Seeking the Stars, I certainly wouldn't put you off that. But I'm going to rely on 2 Tenango and 6 Line Rampart to get me through. I fancy them to finish in that order. Certainly number 4, Bell D is worth a mention. He beat Bluff and Bluff last time out, but he takes a steep rise in class and is well under sufferance here. So again, I've pushed number 4, Bell D to the side, and I'm waiting for him to come back into a race where he may be more suited to and better handicapped. So Tenango, I think the one to beat, but Line or Rampart certainly worth a lot of respect, and Seeking the Stars you can't safely ignore.
That'll take us along to race number 6, and I see you've gone with numbers 2, 3 and 4, which are the top 3 runners in the betting. Number 3, Umfula at 5-2, number 4 Ahead of the Facts at 5-2, and then number 2 Repetition 33-10, 6-1 about number 7 Aladdin's Camp. You've gone 2, 3 and the 4 in this contest, Graham?
Yes, I have. This race named Remembering Mary Zockeler Stakes. Mary, what a wonderful woman she was. I don't expect many of our listeners to remember or even appreciate the significance of Mary Zockeler. She won the Met many years ago with a horse called Queen's Elect, but one of the great dames of racing over many years. Yes, this is interesting because they go 2,200 meters. Now, the last time Umfula and Head of the Facts met was in maiden company. It was over 2,000 meters. They met at exactly the same terms, and Ahead of the Facts beat Umfula by a length and a quarter. Umfula came out to confirm that form by winning next time out, beating Past and Present by a length and a quarter. On that occasion, Umfula was stepping back to 1,800 meters. Now they go 2,200 meters, which I think clearly brings number 2 Repetition into the race with a huge chance. Repetition is certainly nicely bred to go the extra trip. Is relatively unexposed. He's only had 4 starts coming into this race, and since being stepped up in prep, he's certainly improved a great deal. So very much alive is number 2 Repetition for Craig Zaki and Dustin Snaith. JP van der Merwe rides number 4 Ahead of the Facts for Dustin Snaith, who clearly holds a strong hand here. But the Brett Crawford stable, the Brett and James Crawford stable, is absolutely flying. There was a lot of confidence around when number 3 Umfula won last time out. So I am making it a 3-quarter contest, but it is a weak race. My bestie surprised last time out. He needs to confirm that form. Green Mandarin has got 64 to shoulder. We've seen horses win in this sort of class with 64 on their back, so I'm not completely excluding the possibility that Green Mandarin could be successful. Aladdin's Lamp is usually there and thereabouts, but you can't go wide in every race, Sheldon, as you know, so I'm going to rely on numbers 2 Repetition, 3 Umfula, and 4 Ahead of the Facts to get me through. But would I be completely surprised if there was a major turn-up in this race? No, I wouldn't be, but it's a strange distance. We're going the July distance, which we don't often do at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, and I think the Snaith runners, Repetition and Ahead of the Facts, will relish this sort of trip.
Then we're on to the more staying distance of 2,400 meters, the extra 200 meters, where will be a test of stamina, race number 7. And this is the Monica Sport of Kings Kenilworth Cup listed, and the distance, as we mentioned, 2,400 meters. Now, the improving Holding Thumbs is your current 18-10 favorite, Triple Time 5-2. And then the horse I believe they all have to beat is number 2, Otto Leuken, from 5-1, has attracted early support down 4-1. If you go back to that earlier form, has run to the likes of Future Swing, has run behind Rascallion, Mucho Dinero. How do you see race number 7? I see you've gone with the field yet.
Yeah, look, it's a very tricky race. 2,400 meters, 7 runners. So the first question is, what is the pace going to be like? The spread of weights is from 60.5 with triple time carries all the way down to 50 kilograms carried by numbers 3 Bombers in the Sky and 6 Groove Jet. So we've got a 10.5 kilogram spread of weights. But I do agree with you. Number 2, Otto Lucan, is in fact weighted to turn the tables on number 4, Triple Time. If you take the form of their last run, which admittedly was over slightly further in the Western Cape Stayers over 2,800 meters. At these weights, certainly number 2, Otto Lucan, is weighted to turn the tables at number 4, Triple Time. 5 Holding Thumbs, Sean Veal gets a real good tune out of him. He's ridden him 3 times with 2 wins and a second, and of course those have been the last 3 starts. It's not surprising that Holding Thumbs has taken a long time to come to hand in a proper way. He's 5 Vercingetorix out of a Fortwood mare, which suggests stayer. He's 17 hands. So this is a giant of a horse, number 5 Holding Thumbs. And Glenn Cotson has always believed that as he gets older, as he matures, he'll be a better 5-year-old than he'll even be as a 4-year-old. We've seen signs of him really finding himself. And Glenn believes he could be a Gold Cup type horse. But to get to the Gold Cup, you've got to win a race like this. He's got 56 on his shoulder. And his rating is edging up, but not rapidly climbing up. He was penalised another 4 points for his last win over 2,000 metres. But he might have to make his own running. So again, as he's done before, Sean Hill might take immediately after the jump and wait to see if anything goes. Glenn Cotson might have another plan up his sleeve with Bombers in the Sky with only 50 kilograms to go forward under Muzi Yeni and set the pace for his stable companion. We've mentioned Otto Lucan. I think he's very much alive. Interesting for me is number 6 Groove Jet. He's under sufferance here, there's no doubt, but he's an improving horse. And if you're talking about a horse that's bred to go the trip by Silvana out of Jet Bell, who was a Grade 1 winner, Jet Bell gets to stay on really well. So he's being tested beyond 2,000 meters for the first time in his career. Is number 6 Groove Jet as he approaches 5 years old. And again, he's got a stayer's pedigree, so there could be a lot more to come. And number 6 Groove Jet with just 50 kilograms on his shoulder he doesn't have an official rating over 2,400 meters. So to suggest he's under sufferance is mathematically correct, but as he steps up to 2,400 meters, he could be anything. So there could be more to come from number 6 Groove Jet. But I've gone the field. I think it's a kind of race that we could see a muddly sort of a pace. Holding Thumbs for me still the one to beat ahead of numbers 2 Otto Lucan and 4 Triple Time. But I think you might be able to throw a blanket over them as they're near the winning post. So I've gone the field.
Right, now let's move on to the talking horse of the town, which is One Stripe, and his CV tells it all. He needs no introduction, international bound, his last run in South Africa. And this is the HSH Princess Charlene Big Cap, run over 1,400 meters. And Graham, One Stripe, there's not much that we can describe about him. He's had his 8 runs to date. He's won 6 of them. He's got a second to his record. He certainly sets the bar exceptionally high.
Listen, Sheldon, I don't think we need to spend too much time on this race. I think the betting tells the whole story. 9-2 on, 2-9. Betting 10-1 and better bar the 1. They could bet 14-1 and better bar the 1. Obviously, in terms of the pick 6 that I put forward, I've banked at number 2, One Stripe. It's his final appearance in South Africa. I can't believe there's anybody hoping that he gets beat. He ticks all the boxes. Some might suggest that stepping back to 1,400 meters could be a problem. I maintain the view that brilliant horses are versatile over varying trips, and I'm not expecting that to be a problem. The tailwind in the straight, if that's what materializes, obviously update your weather forecast on the day, is not necessarily going to help his cause. I think he likes to run on over a mile into a nice little headwind, which helps him. Great planes and all out for 6. The other 2 3-year-olds, they should fight out the trifecta and exacta positions. I think they'll finish 2nd and 3rd. Great planes as a 1,400 meter specialist. He's won 4 times. All 4 of his victories have come over 1,400 meters. And if you look at the Guineas form, well, he's 2 kilograms better off with One World. And if you look at earlier form, all out for 6 is 2 kilograms better off with One World. If you go back to November in the Selangor Cup, the Cape Punters Cup, he was beaten 1 3/4 lengths by his stable companion. But all out for 6. There's no way that Vaughan Marshall will put them in the same camp, and with only 2 kilograms to split between them, it's impossible to oppose number 2, One Stripe. And I hope he bows out on a real good note.
Well, there we go. One Stripe, the sensation in South Africa. We'll be looking for him to go out on a winning note. As we move on to the final two races on the card, races 9 and 10, for those out there looking to play the last double on the card. And the favorite is Mu Capitano, and this is the horse that's going to take all the beating. Number 9 in race number 9. And at the early time of recording, let's just have a look there. Mu Capitano, he does look to be something special. And number 10, San Pedro, is scratched. Now, Graham, looking at Mu Capitano, they did try him over the 1600 meters last time, but just judged on the way he beat Snow Pilot in his penultimate run, his unbeaten course and distance, I think the winning recipe is bringing him back that 1400 meters.
It was hard to believe the way that the Real Prince blew the opposition away the last time over 1,600 meters, and Mu Capitano, as you've mentioned, was one of his victims. But yeah, you go to the penultimate start, he beat Snow Pilot quite comfortably. As you mentioned, that was his only start over track and trip. The draw is slightly tricky, but I'm not overly concerned about that. So I think Mu Capitano certainly sets the standard. In the pick six, I've backed him up with a few, including numbers 6 Prometheus, 7 Gallic Dream, 8 Oliver, who I think is way overpriced at 20 to 1 in the anti-post market. I know he's up in class, but he's only got 53 to shoulder. And he also loves this track and trip, a win 5 seconds from 8 starts. And he's a 5-time winner, and he's won 4 times over the distance. And if you look at his form over the distance, 13 starts, 4 wins, 5 seconds and 2/3. That's 11 out of 13 over the trip. That is in the top 3. And receiving 7.5 kilograms from Mu Capitano, he could be the surprise package in the race. I had also included number 10, San Pedro, because of the drop in weight, because he'd been shouldering big masses, and he might appreciate racing off 53.5. But that has been scratched. We'll leave him in the play so that if Mu Capitano wins, then at least we double up in this leg. So I've gone 6, 7, 8, and 9, but 9 Mu Capitano is certainly the first choice. He's got the measure of 7 Gallic Dream if you go back to the form of the 25th of January. The lurker in the pack could be number 8, Oliver.
So there we go. The lurker in the pack could be Oliver, and who knows, at that type of price, definitely worth including in all the play. On to the 10th and final race, Graham, and looking at this event, it looks quite an open affair here. I'm going to hand the baton straight over to you, and what are your thoughts on race number 10? And this will be run over a trip of 1400 meters to bring down the curtain.
Tough race to close proceedings at 17.25. As you mentioned, it's a Class 4 handicap, and it's a typically competitive Class 4 handicap. I'm somewhat surprised to see number 1 Industrial Strength at the top of the boards. I know he's easy to back. The betting suggests it's a wide contest. Yes, he's got smatterings of decent form, and yes, he's cracked pole position, and yes, Craig Zaki and Dean Canama have been in terrific form. But for me, he doesn't tick all the boxes as the favourite, and I think he's got his work cut out stepping back to 1400 meters, a distance over which he's only had 1 start and missed the frame. I think there's something there with number 1 Industrial Strength. I think he is going to win more races, but I'm surprised to see him at the top of the boards. That said, it is very competitive. 6 Green Garnet was a comfortable winner of his last start. He had number 7 Honor of Kings behind him then, just under a length. Honor of Kings has been very difficult to work out, as we've mentioned so many times before. He's the half-brother to Princess Calais. He's certainly not in Princess Calais' class. But again, I just get the feeling that he's still learning his straight, and I wouldn't be surprised to see number 7 Honor of Kings come out on top here and overturn the form with number 6 Green Garnet. 11 King's Quest, I think he found 1600 meters too far last time. We'll appreciate stepping back to the 1400 meters on pure maiden form. He's got the measure of number 7 Honor of Kings. He does have a tricky draw of 11 to deal with. The one that I'm going to go for, though, that I think represents a nice each-way value is number 9 Boogiefied. You know, he's by the internationally acclaimed Justify. He's got a 5-star pedigree, but there's no doubt that he's under-delivered to now. So we'll put the pedigree to one side. He's coming into his 12th start and he's only won 1 race. But there was lots to like about his last start when second beaten a nose by Please Be True. Over 1,600 meters. I think he'll love this course and distance, this 1,400 meters. That run last time was his first in 6 months. So I think he's been given the time to mature. The Andre Nel Cornet Alpha team are going along very nicely. He looks a class package. You know, you look at number 9 Boogie Fight in the parade ring and then the Kent Pass, and you think I'm looking at a grade 1 runner going to the post. So I do think that number 9 Boogie Fight offers good each way value, but you can't nail your colours to the mask. I think the last race is very competitive.
Well, I am with you there with number 9, Boogie Fight. That would be my narrow first selection. Obviously ran behind Green with Envy and Tough Terrain, who we touched on earlier, and then your Shruti Oliver. So let's hope that Boogie Fight can come to the party. Well, it's been a 10-race program. An absolute pleasure with you on the line, Graham. We're now going to bring up your suggested bet, and for your legion of followers out there, if you don't mind going through your suggested bet for us, please.
Well, I'm going into uncharted territory. I don't often go into pick 6 territory, but let's have a go because we're going to rely on number 2, One Strike, to make it a 5-legged pick 6 for us. And as we saw on Met Day, when we had 8 on 18 and we had Give Me a Prince, you can still get a dividend even with the obvious bankers arriving. So first leg, we're taking no chances. We're going numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, and 9, by 2 and 6, by 2, 3, and 4. The field in the Monaco Sport of Kings Kenilworth Cup, banker number 2, One Stripe. The last leg going numbers 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 10 has been scratched. We'll leave it in there. If Mer Capitano were to win as the tote favourite, then we will double up. That perm, as it stands, will cost you 147 Rand for 10%.
Well, thanks very much, Graham. Always looking forward to a nice, exciting day's racing, and of course, One Stripe taking centre stage. So have a wonderful day's racing, and let's leave it up to the horses.
Thank you, Sheldon. Go well.
Thanks very much to Graham Hawkins joining us on the line, and as mentioned, One Stripe will be taking centre stage. So let's all see exactly if you're going to go off on a winning note, and he should do with all things being equal. Have a wonderful day's racing, and we'll catch you soon.